Hey everyone,
That's this guy,
and this is that guy.
and we are
The This and That Guys.
This is Friday the 13th.
That is the Hall of Horror.
This is our Voorhees vault.
And that is NECA's Jason Voorhees figure from the Friday the 13th series.
In 2001, a company previously known for producing small household electrical items would sideswipe the toy industry when a new division of their company was born, NECA Real Toys.
The Real Toys division would begin pumping out 7-inch tall action figures that didn't just look like the characters or actors in a movie. These figures look as if you reach inside the TV screen and plucked out your favorite cosplay actor, styrofoam muscle suits and all.
With the onset of the 80s slasher craze begun with Michael Myers in 1978, dozens of wannabes spawned, out of which would arise a new breed of killer, Jason Voorhees.
A disfigured child left in the bottom of Crystal Lake and unseen for the entire first movie, Jason was naturally whom we as the audience assumed to be the killer. But in one of horror's most notable table turns, Mrs. Voorhees, Jason's mother, was revealed to be our antagonist, and would be killed at the end of a savage murder spree to avenge the neglectful drowning death of her son. And now, Jason would be the one back from the grave to avenge his fallen mother.
But our first introduction to the monster we would come to know as Jason was at first very meager compared to the Voorhees we have come to know. Smaller in stature, still seeming to have some semblance of skin tone to his flesh, and not yet wielding his signature hockey mask, the first real Jason fans received was a disfigured man with a burlap sack and wearing overalls.
NECA definitely displayed their love for this saga by making available both Jason and Pamela Voorhees in every which way they appear in the first two films. Follow the story from the beginning as Pamela creeps on unsuspecting campers with her full arsenal of weaponry.
Bring young Jason up from the depths of Crystal Lake for a franchise launching last-minute jump scare.
Introduce the world to its new silent stalker as he dons the burlap sack to go on a mother-avenging slaughter.
Allow Mrs. Voorhees one last traipse through the woods as a rotting corpse.
And even give Jason his motherly flashbacks as he bows down in front of his homemade shrine, complete with mother's severed head.
By the release of Friday the 13th Part 3, Jason developed into the unique slasher we now know and has taken the series to new heights, becoming quite a monster in his third installment, acquiring a more hunter-like prowess, showing how versatile a killer he's grown into, and of course, donning his iconic hockey mask.
NECA comes creeping in for the kill for Part 3 with Jason's hulking body mass, harpoon, pitchfork, pipe wrench, and everything else he found lying around or off a fresh corpse in Friday the 13th Part 3. Slap on his mask with the split to drop in the axe for a final send-off.
Planning to kill off our titular character and end the series in the final chapter, Jason is again chopped in the head and whacked to bits by young Tommy Jarvis, a recurring character played by 3 different actors throughout the series. Tommy is shown to be Jason's longest-standing survivor in the franchise, making him a nemesis of sorts to Jason, also creating a puzzle to fans as to why we have yet to receive a Tommy Jarvis figure.
Death Warmed Over comes in toy form as NECA unveils Friday the 13th Part 4's gruesome antagonist. From masked and on the bloodthirsty prowl to frightful visage on full display, bring Jason all the way to his next demise with a machete to the skull.
Paramount knew what a hit franchise they had in the horror community with the slasher of Camp Blood, thus fans were granted a new beginning. This film was touted and promoted as Jason's next revival, and though it did seem to be our slow-trudging machete wielder, his mask would now have blue accents instead of the familiar red, and his appearance was somehow not as bulky and intimidating.
This is due to Jason eventually being revealed as an imposter Jason named Roy Burns. Roy wouldn't make it to the end of the movie and would leave us with the impression that Tommy would potentially take up the machete.
We would receive 2 action figures for the 5th Friday, as NECA dropped a figure for both slashers in the movie. Meet Roy Burns, Voorhees' copycat and out for revenge for his son's murder at the beginning of the film, and Jason Voorhees, Tommy Jarvis' vision who didn't appear physically in Part 5's timeline, but in Tommy's mind.
Realizing that A New Beginning was a financial and critical failure, Paramount completely abandoned this idea of distancing the franchise from Jason and would have Tommy literally bring Jason back from the dead in the sixth Friday movie, Jason Lives, giving us what is considered a pivotal turn in the series, officially introducing Zombie Jason.
And NECA's walking corpse once again knocks him dead. Jason indeed lives again by his show of accoutrements and personality alone. Putting thought into his kills, he now comes equipped with a tool belt, gloves, and some nifty new weaponry to go along with that oh-so-recognizable face covering.
Becoming far more grotesque and disgusting by Part 7, The New Blood, Jason is shown to face his toughest fight yet. Oh, sorry, our mistake. This is actually Tina, a character with oddly similar aspects to someone from a Stephen King novel, down to having matching backstory and powers.
The New Blood's NECA figure is the visual representation of a walking zombie, as is expected. Complete with neck chain from breaking free of his previous incarceration, grotesque decayed flesh beneath his now rotted away pants, and this time with a breakaway mask, you can now bring Voorhees to the completion of what some would say is Jason's only worthy cycle, as this is where the Jason we all grew to love is considered to have finally died, at least in the eyes of long-standing fans.
After being taken back down into the lake by Tina's father's spirit in Part 7, Jason would resurface in Part 8 to take Manhattan, accommodating the title and finding himself in Manhattan with a whole new forest of different kind of lambs awaiting the slaughter. By the end of the eighth installment, Jason is seemingly washed away on biohazardous waste. NECA has yet to release a figure for this chapter of the saga.
We did, however, receive in the same year as Takes Manhattan a video game by Atlas Games, which was released for the NES and published by LJN, starring Jason in a game of the horror genre.
Oddly enough, it was this 1989 media release for which NECA did give us a figure. Check out Video Game Voorhees. This 8-bit style release mirrored the color template of the figure as seen in the video game. Quite a layered bit of nostalgia in this figure.
Finally accepting the reality that the series was running out of steam and with nowhere to go, and feeling the franchise fall apart, the rights to the Jason Voorhees character would be attained by New Line Cinema, bringing him into the same universe as another of the most iconic slashers of the 80s, as Jason moved into the house that Freddy built.
It had been a long-standing dream of fans that we would see these two heavyweights of horror go toe-to-toe, reality to dreamscape. And now, the vision finally seemed to be a real possibility. But as with most Hollywood productions, chaos with rights disagreements, bad scripts, and directors and revolving doors would see this dream put on hold as the concept became a literal nightmare.
In the meantime, New Line decided to have some fun with the newly acquired Voorhees character. And as with beauty, the definition of fun here lay in the eye of the beholder, as the next two sequels were not very well received.
Being blown to pieces and dragged down to hell for number 9, Jason is now shown to be able to possess people as we watch him hunt down his distant relative to continue his bloody journey. As a side plot, we meet a bounty hunter by the name of Creighton Duke as he tries to stop Jason from his bloody rampage once and for all. Again, we have yet to receive this figure from NECA. No rush.
However, in one final attempt to keep the series going, Jason is sent to space to hunt down and kill cosmic marines in Jason X. A far cry from what we grew to love from the series, we now watch as Jason goes full xenomorph, hunting down marines in a freaking spaceship. Again, no figure. Again, no rush.
After years of production hell, it seemed that fate would finally step in and decide that the time had come for the ultimate fanfare. After years of debating and disputing, we would actually see Freddy Krueger bring Jason Voorhees back from hell itself and try to revive his own fearsome legacy through the fear brought upon by this resurrection. Backfiring on Freddy, this results in a showdown between the two icons.
Though it would seem Jason stood victorious in this battle, walking out of the water with Freddy's severed head, Krueger is actually shown laughing with a literal wink at the camera, resulting in a draw and putting both these characters to rest for another number of years.
Who are we familiar with that may have been able to do an action figure justice for this Oh yeah, it's NECA. The frayed jacket, the rotted and yet somehow smooth midnight flesh, the flame-engulfed machete. Bring this figure down to your nightmare shelf to face off with your favorite Freddy figure, and the two franchises become one again in your own home.
As you can see, acquiring the rights to Voorhees early on would allow collectors and fans to bring the movie to life as you set up each scene of the franchise, from the earliest renditions of Jason as a child and Pamela on a spree of her own, to the only hulking monster to have faced off with Freddy Krueger.
You can even find the accessory pack and display your figures with beautiful detail from different major scenes throughout the franchise. From the Camp Crystal Lake sign to a part of the dock for Jason, they even give us the chain and destroyed sign to create the drowning scene from Part 6. You even have the ability to pay tribute to Mother by finding a nice cozy spot for a decaying severed head.
The early 2000s would see a slasher reboot craze developing. Butchers from the likes of Leatherface to Michael Myers saw a revamp in their popularity, and this of course would awaken the zombie from Camp Crystal Lake.
And thus, in 2009, Jason received a much needed refresh with his reboot simply titled Friday the 13th. Going back to the roots of the series, we watch as the first two movies are glossed over, and then we are dropped straight into a fresh telling of the third and most iconic movie of the franchise.
Created by Victor Miller and directed by Sean S. Cunningham, Friday the 13th hit theaters to low ratings. The subsequent series would, however, go on to become a global phenomenon, spawning several sequels and dozens of merchandise deals.
Oh, and NECA may have released a figure for this reboot. Meet our newest Jason. Standing a full head above the other Jasons we've seen, this newest iteration is nothing less than what we've come to expect from NECA. Massive stature, hockey mask almost belaying his lengthy hair, open jacket clothing, and of course, no Jason is complete without that perfectly recognizable, decay-covering simplicity of a mask that tells us we are once again in the presence of the killer from Camp Blood.